This is SQPN, the StarQuest Production Network, leading the way. You're listening to Catholic Weekend, episode number 209 for the week ending Saturday, February 1st, 2014. Good morning and welcome to Catholic Weekend. I'm Captain Jeff in Roswell, Georgia. Today, joining me, adjectives, Maria Johnson.
Adjectives? Oh, fill in your own blank. Hi, all.
Hello, and with us in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the adjective, Steve Nelson. Steve Nelson. Steve Nelson. Take it.
Steve is gone.
I'll be back with Steve at a later date.
It's like you should cue the Sound of Music now, Edelweiss or something, because of the...
All right, well, instead then, we'll go to San Antonio, the adjective, Angela Cialana.
I'm here.
You are. Okay, I'm sorry for you. And with us today in Washington, D.C., the superlative adjective, Billy Newton.
Declarative sentence.
Touché. And with us from the plains of the Ohio River Valley in Cincinnati, Ohio, is the lovely adjective, Sarah Fabulous.
I'm the only one who got a real adjective. I'd like you to know.
Flipped. And also joining us, along with Sarah, I mean literally along with, if you're watching the video, is Father Kyle.
Hello.
Hello. And welcome to the place where real thinkers and real stinkers gather together every Saturday morning for...
Oh, you worked on that all week, didn't you?
I just thought about it in the shower this morning.
You and Lord Grantham.
That's enough of Toto. Although you can't really get enough.
Correct.
Can you? Okay, there we go. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Catholic Weekend. And let's see, has anything been going on this week that we can really talk about? I'm kind of drawing a blank, like weather-related stuff, or...
Well, I would have to chime in with expletive.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it a lot easier to edit this
Redacted.
Censor. Okay, well, so Maria, you go ahead and start then. How was your... were you here in Atlanta this week? Perhaps maybe on Tuesday and Wednesday?
I was here in Atlanta. I came from that mess in Boston, and I guess they can do it right there. Yeah, I was here. We were kind of watching the weather ourselves, just keeping track of it, because I don't go into the city from where I work. So as soon as I saw the snow coming down, I said, you know what, let me bail. So I was home and cozy watching everything happen, and concerned for my two kids, who one lives up by you, up in the north end of town, and the other one works up there and lives in the city. So he's the one that got stuck on the highway and ended up having to walk a mile off the road, not because he couldn't handle it, but because so many cars stopped and blocked the traffic.
Wow.
That he just got out and tried to help a few people move their cars, and you know, I said, oh, you're so heroic that you tried to help a lady. And he goes, no, Mom. He says, no, I wanted her car out of my way. So,
help me to help myself.
So he gets points for honesty. But yes, it was a mess. One of his pals was actually stuck on 285, which is the perimeter road that goes all the way around Atlanta, and that's the one with all the trucks on it, and that's the one that probably contributed to a lot of the problem as well.
Well, it was a
So,
mess up here in Roswell. I mean, I left Tuesday morning on a 4-day trip, and we got out of Atlanta long before the snowflakes started flying. And everything that we were hearing on the Weather Channel and everything I heard on the local meteorologists, the weather people, on the radio here in Atlanta were saying everything is going to be south of town, and Atlanta might get a dusting. So nobody up here was really ready for anything significant, and that's why they didn't pre-treat the roads. That's why they didn't, cancel school and everything else. And then when it actually started coming, a lot heavier than they thought and a lot sooner than they thought, the mayhem ensued because of everybody trying to go all at the same time. So I was actually getting ready to record an episode of Airline Pilot Guy in my hotel room up in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I'm kind of watching what's happening on the Weather Channel. And I went, oh, it's really coming down in Atlanta. Maybe I should call and see what's going on. And Linda had a little bit of panic in her voice, a tinge of it. And I thought, what's going on? She said, well, Natalie goes to school about just under 3 miles from our house. Normally it takes like 10 minutes to get home. And she was in her car for an hour and a half, and she made it not even a mile. And then she was starting to freak out because, the gas low light was on. And thought she was going to run out of gas, although I kept trying to tell her that you have plenty of gas, don't worry about it. But she wasn't convinced of that. She was, anyway, long story short, she left school at 12:15, and by the time finally Linda went to get her in a four-wheel drive vehicle, 5:30, I think, is when they finally made it home.
oh my gosh.
You know how close Blessed Trinity is to our house here.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
So
just
close.
down the road. So, yeah, and it's kind of frustrating for me and for those of us who have people that we know, family members, friends, and everything that are struggling, and then you're somewhere else, and it's frustrating because you can't really help them. I mean, I did what I could, but it wasn't much. So, anyway, and then of course everybody was probably just laughing their heads off from people, like up in Cincinnati and other parts of the country where this kind of stuff.
We from the outside, from where we're like, we get 2 inches of snow all the time, and we have a bunch of hills, and we get ice, and it doesn't shut us down. But then I realized, like, Atlanta has 11 snowplows. We have 150. We have a bunch of salt that's already on the roads. You didn't have any salt on the roads, and we get a lot more experience. So we have the equipment to deal with it. We have the experience to deal with it. We don't panic near as much. And then, I was watching it, and I looked at Google Maps, the traffic on Google Maps, and the outer belt was just one solid ring of red in Atlanta. And, we just don't have that problem up here. We know how to, so.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I texted Father Kyle at 9 a.m. and said, Father, these are snow clouds. Like, we're getting snow today. I mean, I just, I didn't go to work on Tuesday because I knew that we were going to get a bunch of snow. I mean, I went to college in South Bend. There is something about looking at the sky and knowing that something's a snow cloud. Like, you just know. Yeah. For anybody that's ever lived up north, you know the difference in the types of clouds, whether it's rain or snow or whatever. You can just tell. And so I did not go to work. I'm lucky I get to work from home whenever I want. But I did opt to stay home, and it was great because
wise choice.
I live on a main road. I live on Peachtree Road in Atlanta, and I just watched the madness happen, and I saw fire trucks like fishtailing all over the place because they didn't clear the roads on Tuesday night, and so it was just one sheet of ice, and crazy.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that contributed to that was the fact that normally when we get these snow events, the temperature is much higher before the snow actually comes in and starts falling. Well, it had been really, really cold a couple days before the snow came in, so the roads were already below freezing. And then when the snow came down, of course, some of it melted and turned into ice, and just a big mess.
Well, I think one of the best recaps of what happened was in a Politico article, and I guess I can drop that link into the show notes. But really, it's because of the infrastructure and the way that the city is set up as a commuter city. Really, if you live in the city, if you're smart and live in the city and work in the city, okay, well then that's normal. But that's not the way Atlanta works. There's the city of Atlanta, and then there's like where I live, which is not Atlanta, but for practical purposes, is Atlanta.
Part of the metro area.
And it's it's 30 miles out from the city, and that's a commute. And most people work in the city and live outside the city, and that's why I think that there was 1 million people
More than that,
it
it
a
was
million-
like
a million
1,500,000 or something like that. Like
Yeah,
hit the streets within within an hour of each other.
Yeah,
Of course, you're gonna
crazy.
have gridlocks. Like weather event or no weather event, if 1 million to 1.5 million people hit the road at the same exact time, you're gonna have gridlock.
Right.
Well, do you guys have? I've never been to Atlanta. Do you guys have a subway system?
Nope.
Barely.
Wow.
I use
In
it.
the city.
It's light rail, and it's
Mm.
subterranean under the city, but everywhere else it's above ground.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's laid out, it's kind of a north, south, east, west thing. But the way everything works in the city is that people don't really go north, south, east, west. They go from northwest to southeast. You know, it's just not. It's great for people like me who go to the airport because I just catch the most northern station line and then go all the way down to the most southern, which is the Atlanta International Airport. So it works well for me, but it needs to be improved as far as where it goes.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know on your side of town, but the terminus on our side of town is at 285, that perimeter road. So it's
Ours extends further north, but not a lot further. You're right. It needs to go out further. But one of the problems that mass transportation has here in Atlanta is the local cities say, no, we don't want it in our city or county or whatever. So all the, we don't want, people coming from other parts of town into our part of town. Unfortunately, that's reality here. And that's
yeah,
what,
and Political talks about that too. Hey, so tell me, the best meme to come out of this mess, the apocalypse pictures from The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead.
Which was filmed in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it worked perfectly because they took scenes straight out of The Walking Dead where they shut down the interstates on, in the mornings and things like that where nobody's really missing, and then they compared it to the same shot where there was people lined up, so it was hilarious because it's the exact same picture. No photoshopping necessary. It just was it.
Wow.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
So I hope we don't have a zombie apocalypse because we're going to be in trouble.
No, but for real, if we ever have an actual emergency in the city where people need to evacuate, this would happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably be even worse. Hey, listen, do you hear this?
Ah!
Steve Nelson in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Go ahead and give him some adjectives. He's going to need them.
Adjectives. Superb.
Wow, I'm glad I could make it back onto the call. I think Google was really upset with my comments last week, I think, and man, it made it tough because I don't know if you noticed.
You.
Well, it's like just as you were starting the show, and then everything's rebooted on my iMac, and it was like, oh man, they were just waiting for the show to start.
Well, I didn't notice it until I was playing your little sound clip, your Oklahoma sound clip, and you weren't making any response. So.
Yeah, well, I guess my normal stoic appearance is kind of hard to tell from when I'm not here.
I didn't notice any difference. That's not true. Okay,
And we were talking about zombies, so.
Yeah. And the snow event here, the what was it called? The winter
Snowpocalypse.
Snowpocalypse.
Well, actually, I think that Jon Stewart called it something hilarious, and now I can't think of it. But did you guys see his clip? His terrible attack on Atlanta.
Well,
no,
hey,
I saw that it existed, but I opted not to watch because
good
I've
call.
been really upset by the reaction from a lot of people up north because it's not necessarily the snow. There's lots of bigger issues, and we're not stupid Southerners, so whatever.
Huh? Hey, Maria, tell me something.
What?
Do you still have your Christmas tree up?
No, I do not have my Christmas tree up. Had you asked me last week, I would have given a different answer. Had you asked me yesterday morning, I would have given you a different answer.
Yeah, I was reading your blog and enjoyed your fight with your
Oh, I was channeling Leatherface. I had a good time with a chainsaw.
Yeah, did you hurt anybody? I didn't see any.
I didn't hurt anybody. No, there were no. Well, I don't know. There were some limbs that were. So what happened is this. I've been on the road since Christmas. I spent a long time down in Miami with my folks, and then when I came back, it was really to just hit the road for work, and then I took a little personal break, and so I came back, and you'd think with a grown son that the tree would have been taken care of, but he had his own stuff going on, and then the snow apocalypse came, and I still had a tree up yesterday. No ornaments on it or anything. It was like Charlie Brown. Every time somebody breathed in the living room, the little pine needles fell and tinkled to the ground.
Wow.
So
I have you beat, though.
you still have it up?
No. When I was in college, I came home from spring break one year, and the tree was still up.
Might as well just leave it up the whole time.
Well, no, my dad had a good reason. He said we had such fun putting it up that I just wanted to wait for you to come home so we could have fun taking it down.
Oh,
that was his story,
sweet.
and I wasn't about to contradict it at that point.
Oh my god!
Let's go have some fun right now, Steve, and go and take the tree down.
I tried to pull that on one of my kids yesterday, but she's too far away to help. The one that's up north.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the tree was sitting there. John can't handle it, and I certainly can't handle it by myself. And the thing is that I keep telling the kids when they come home for Christmas, get a small tree. You're leaving me, and I have to take care of it. And we ended up with an 8-foot tree this year.
That's not small.
So
They don't listen, do they?
So, I have critical thinking skills. So I thought maybe if I just cut it in half, I can take it out in 2 pieces. I can handle a 4-foot piece. And there's a chainsaw in the garage, and I've never used a chainsaw, but I got it going. And I started hacking, and you know what? It's a little... it's a little harder to cut. And then it's...
So I take it you've learned one of the major facts of life is that chainsaws, like bagpipes, are not meant to be used indoors.
Yeah, I saw that chainsaw inside your living room and thinking that can't be good.
Well, it worked, and I ended up hacking it haphazardly, just enough for me to be able to get into it and stand on things and pull and yank. And so then here's the tragedy of it. So I've got this... The dog, of course.
It gets worse.
Was amazingly put out. Well, I have pine needles all over the universe now. And we have this door off the living room that goes out onto the deck and onto the backyard. And I'm thinking I can pull it out that door. I couldn't get it going in that direction. So I went out the front door, and I'm thinking my neighbors are watching me drag this 8-foot hacked in pieces so I could get my hands to the trunk. And then I got around to the side of the house, and I didn't have the key to the gate. So I hefted it over the top of the gate and dropped it into the backyard and went around and hauled it off into the back of the property. So, yeah.
Be good, the lumberjack.
There you go. Next year I'm investing in a 3-foot tall plastic tree. Actually, here's the tree I'm going to have.
If you're listening to the audio.
Can you see that?
A
I've
very
got the
small
Charlie
tree.
Brown Christmas tree. This is it. You just pull it out. There we go. Oh, I just broke the little thing. Oh, that's it. That's my Christmas tree right there. Oh.
I so wish one of your neighbors had called the police.
Can you imagine how hilarious that would have been?
Really, we hear a chainsaw inside the house.
It can't be good.
No.
Or Otto's probably looking at it going, oh my, I'm next.
Well, I can't wait for the phone call from my dad later when he reads that. He's gonna be very distressed.
Well, Angela, were you affected at all by the latest round of wintry weather? Or we kind of talked about it last week, right? And your grandmother thought she saw snow.
Yeah, poor grandma. Well, all we got was ice, and that was basically as bad as Atlanta with snow. So, yeah, I mean, we didn't get very much this week, just a little bit breezy, but not too bad.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So,
Same here.
Same there in Washington, right?
Yeah, we got a little bit of snow, but it was the last 2 weeks until yesterday have just been so horribly cold that you don't even want to go outside. So,
And it was 10, 15 degrees warmer where you guys are than where I was. Here in Cincinnati, we had lows in barely into the single digits here.
no.
Well, you're listening to Father Kyle Schnippel's voice there. So tell us, you've been on the show before, Father.
Yeah.
Just remind anybody who might be a new listener to Catholic Weekend who you are, where you are, and what you do.
Father Kyle Schnippel, I'm the vocation director for the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. Currently also temporary parochial administrator at a parish called Holy Cross Immaculata, which is in Mount Adams neighborhood of Cincinnati, which overlooks downtown Cincinnati. It's the best view in the city. It's great. Been a priest coming up on 10 years this coming May, and 8 years as vocation director, and I have a blog. Well, I used to have a blog. It's still there, but and I'm on Facebook and Twitter. What's that?
It's disused, your blog?
It's disused, yeah. I actually just posted something on it this morning for like the first time in a year.
Oh, so you can actually say that you have a blog.
Yeah. So I have an active blog again. Woo!
Hey, Mount Adams, is that the hill that's just to the east of the downtown area?
Right, exactly, yeah.
I've walked up there before. It's beautiful.
Yeah, on Good Friday, this is the parish here in Cincinnati. On Good Friday, if you ever heard of a tradition called praying the steps, there are 360 some steps from river level up to the church level, and there's a tradition on Good Friday starting at midnight, Holy Thursday night, all day on Good Friday. People walk up the steps and pray. You just say a little prayer on each step as they come up, and then there's a section of the steps that's maybe 90 steps that's right in front of the church here where most people do it is just do that last segment. And so it's a great tradition. It was built. It's a little different of a parish because it was built at the whim sort of the idea of Archbishop Purcell was traveling back from Europe on a steamboat, and they hit a storm, and he prayed, and he said, if we make it safe, well, I'll build a church and dedicate it to Mary. And so this is the church that he built. So it's just over 150 years old. It's a lovely parish, a lovely church, and a lot of weddings happen here, a lot of different things too. So.
Picturesque.
Oh yes, very much so.
Very cool. Okay, let's see. Well, Steve, how about yourself? Were you affected at all by any wintry or adverse weather this past week?
No, not so far. I mean, it got really bone-chilling cold. I think we were down to 1 or 2 degrees, and then up to 60, and then back down again, and then up again. And we're going to have a fairly middle of the road weekend, but they're expecting 2 to 4 inches of snow on Tuesday, which means everybody will panic, but we probably won't. We don't have the kind of traffic Atlanta has, so we won't have that. At least won't have that kind.
French toast supplies, don't forget them.
Yes.
bread, eggs, and milk.
Got to get the bread and milk.
And don't forget the toilet paper. Why do people always go with bread and milk and forget toilet paper? What if you're, lactose intolerant?
Well, then I won't be buying milk.
Almond milk.
That's your mistake. Don't buy.
Gotta get the bread and bourbon. Gotta get the bread and bourbon.
There you go. There we go.
So, what did you all think of the Pope being on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine?
I think that's cool. However, I don't like the text. I didn't read the whole thing, but I read some previews of it, and the disparaging comments against Pope Benedict are very disheartening.
Yes.
So much so, I guess, that Father Lombardi at the Vatican basically condemned the shoddy journalism, the bad words against Pope Benedict.
Well, it's about time we started to.
Yeah.
This is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, Pope Benedict is a great man and was a great pope, and I think that the world is misunderstanding the differences between Benedict and Francis. Francis is a great pope, but he's not saying anything different than what Benedict said. He just has a different personality. I mean, Pope Benedict clearly was an academic who was very introverted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Francis coming in a very extroverted way and engaging in a different way, on a different level. Benedict engaged the mind. I think Francis engaging the heart, but it's the same content. It's that same message that's being proclaimed.
Exactly.
What a great opportunity for dialogue, though, to be able to talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, we've never had an opportunity to talk about 2 living popes,
Yeah.
And
And what strikes me is everyone talks about how humble Francis is, which he is, but there was no more humble act than giving up the papacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know which is what Pope Benedict did.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
Yeah, I guess we're preaching to the choir, aren't we?
yeah.
But it's a great, but you know what, even for us, it's a great conversation to have because it really speaks to the different ways that we handle the new evangelization through our different new media initiatives. You know, some people have train wrecks, and some people have some really solid theological posts that are, you know, that are really speaking to the intellect and everything in between. You know, and it's all the same message and it's all the same goal,
And it's
to
also
bring
got
everyone
me.
to Christ.
It's got me thinking about how different personalities are called to be. Because I think at first when Francis became the Pope, as myself as an introvert, I was like kind of questioning, you know, well, should I like be a lot more extroverted and like going up to people and talking more about my faith? And, you know, it's kind of like I had to really consider, you know, should I use my time and energy in a different way than I have been? And I kind of came to the conclusion so far anyway, still discerning, but you know, that we're all different and we'll all have different opportunities. So myself as an introvert, I'll probably have more opportunities for like one-on-one dialogue because that's kind of where I thrive than an extrovert would, you know, just going up to more strangers than I would, whereas, you know, I prefer like the closer relationships and that kind of thing. So it's very interesting.
Steve, I think you can kind of relate to that. I remember you had a post in your blog about Pope Francis scares me.
Well, I you know, if you read that post, it's because he challenges me in ways that are new to me, and so it's scary to be challenged that way. But I tell you, you know, this whole situation has caused more conversation with non-Catholics. You know, people wanting to know about Pope Benedict, some people wanting to know about Pope Francis, wanting to know what I think about the change and the perceived dichotomy between the two, or the perceived new messages and things like that. I mean, it's been great for having conversations with non-Catholics.
Well, Billy, why do you think that the Rolling Stone chose to put the Pope on the cover?
To sell copies.
Okay. And that's it.
Good answer.
That's why they exist. Yeah.
Declarative sentence.
He's the most popular person in the world. I mean, you're dumb if you don't, right? I mean, it's.
Well, then why did it take so long for them to do it then?
Because he's the most popular person in the world now. He's more popular than his predecessor, and people see hipster reports being written about the Pope. They see him on the cover of Time and other publications, and so they, you know, everyone jumps on the bandwagon. And 2 years from now, when they finally realize that he's Catholic, they're all going to start doing cover stories about how he's let everyone down. So,
do you think it's
because they'll sell more copies?
Do you think it's necessarily a bad thing that he's on the cover, or a good thing, or does it make any difference in the long run?
I agree with what everyone else has said in the sense that at least it gets people talking about it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the problem is that articles like that are all that most people are going to see, and they're not going to hear, for example, why Father Lombardi is criticizing that article. They're simply going to say, oh yeah, Pope Benedict, he's kind of like, you know, before everybody kind of associated him with Emperor Palpatine, and now they're going to associate him with Freddy Krueger, right? So I kind of guy. So I think that there's good things that come out of this, but I think that now we have to kind of redouble our efforts, and it's something that you know, when I met Teresa Tomeo a couple weeks ago, she talked about the fact that, you know, we do for evangelization, except there is this kind of memory problem. People's attention spans are so short that you have to keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. If that gives us an opportunity to keep revisiting what Catholicism is, what the papacy is, what Francis is and is not, that's a good thing, but we're going to have to repeat ourselves. And going along the lines of what Angela was saying too, the great thing about being Catholic is it's a universal church. We say that in the creed, and so there's room for everybody. You know, you can't get more different than a Jesuit and a Carthusian. But they're both Catholic.
And jumping on that point, we remember the last thing. So I think all the great things that Benedict did, with articles like this coming out of Rolling Stone, the popular consensus is going to be, oh, he was so awful, when in fact, inside the church, he was really dynamic and really fantastic in what he was trying to do and reaching out and working to build unity within the church so that Francis could launch unity outside the church. And I think, and the challenge is going to be, what happens if, when after Benedict passes on, his canonization cause, everyone's going to compare and contrast. Oh, they're only highlighting the negative things. That's what they're going to highlight. Why are you trying to canonize him? Because this man is a living saint. He's as much of a living saint as John Paul was, as Mother Teresa was, but they're not going, but in a much different way. So Mother Teresa there. So.
And she's still shaking her head, going, "Why am I associated with these people?"
I mean, what do you guys? I mean, I guess the question is you know, we all have friends presumably who are not Catholics. Do you have more people asking you, you know, what do you think about this Francis guy? I certainly do.
I do.
I do.
I do it, and I have more people who are lukewarm Catholics or fallen away, just Sunday morning Catholics, who are talking, and that's, I think that's essential for them to grow. You know, the Holy Spirit just needs the yes to come in, then He'll do His work, right?
Yeah.
Pardon this question, but do you think maybe because of social media and how real and live news is in 2013 versus how it was in 2005?
Yeah.
When Pope Benedict was elected, do you think that has all played a factor into the amount of love Francis has versus Benedict?
Oh, there's no question about it. Remember those iconic pictures of the people looking at the balcony, and then the second time around it was with the iPhones and the iPads. There's no question about that.
I personally, I'm just glad that there is a lot of conversation, because to take it to the opposite extreme, if nobody was talking, then you know,
that shows you're irrelevant. You know,
right.
and so the amount of conversation about Francis shows that despite the popular culture trying to shove us to the side, we are still very much relevant in the culture today.
Hey, earlier I kind of caught the tail end of something you were talking about, birds in the Vatican. What is going on there?
Hitchcock 2.0.
So,
it's a sign.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, you could take it that way. I think a lot of people did.
Remember the bird on the roof on the chimney?
On the smokestack, the papal smokestack.
But I missed whatever you were talking about with birds.
Okay, so last Sunday during the Angelus, Pope Benedict had two, I believe it was Ukrainian children, because of. I'm sorry, Francis. Getting my... See, they're so similar. So
Nice
because
recovery.
of all the problems with that's going on in the Ukraine right now, Pope Benedict, Pope Francis, there I go again. I just love them so much.
A little Freudian action.
With these children released, was it 2 doves?
Yeah.
And as a symbol of, you know, praying for peace. And so what happened was there was a crow and a seagull that came and attacked the 2 doves. And to the horror of the however many thousands of people below.
Actually, Father Daryl just texted me and said, I don't think people in the square actually noticed the birds, because he was there.
Wow.
Except for the ones that had the carnage fall on them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
The attack. Oh,
Ugh.
here we go. The attack happened when everyone was leaving the square. People generally weren't looking in the direction of the apartments.
Gotcha.
Well,
that's
that's good
probably
to know.
regardless, it made
Meanwhile-
the news.
Meanwhile, back in the media,
Yeah.
it's a sign.
Oh, the photos of it are really frightening, but
Awful.
Yeah.
the word I read was that the birds escaped unharmed, but it was very symbolic of, you can read a lot into it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
dan- you know, the
It's
problems
right
of
to the
peace
Ukraine.
in the world, and
Yeah. Hey, you guys recognize this logo that I have on my sweatshirt?
Yup.
No.
No. It's Rosary Army. You
Yep.
know who started the Rosary Army, right? Greg and Jennifer. And I think Maria had something to do with the early
A
days
little bit.
of the Army. But hey, I got to see Greg and Jennifer Willits and family just day before yesterday.
Oh, cool.
And rode the train down and got to see their new house, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
And got to eat dinner. Jennifer fixed a wonderful dinner of chili and all the fixins on the table. It was a lot of fun. So I just thought I'd mention that, let you know that they're doing.
I was gonna say I got to freeze in their basement.
You know what?
You were chilly.
They
But it
said-
was, yeah, it was a little bit chilly. Well, that's you. Those of you who saw the episode may remember that I had to go rather quickly.
Yes.
He had to take a potty break, ladies and gentlemen.
And that was why, because it is freezing down there. So, and doing 2 shows back to back, it was just like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Well, Billy, when you come to my basement has heat, so.
And a water feature, so I wouldn't have to go
Yes.
upstairs.
Yeah, that's one of the things about I'm actually positioned in my little eating alcove in the kitchen area of my home because Holly had a weather-related, we think, ailment during this last week, and we think that she has arthritis. And her right paw, she was like not putting pressure on it. We didn't know if it was sprained or broken or whatever. So when I got home from my trip yesterday, they waited to make the appointment. Several reasons why they couldn't get Holly in before yesterday, but they pushed it to the afternoon so that I could come home and pick her up because she's about 65 pounds. Probably more than that now. Anyway, so we put her in the van, took her to the vet, and they did x-rays and everything else and didn't see any broken bones or anything. So she's over in the another area of where I am right here, so I'm kind of keeping my eye on her, so that's why I'm up here. She
Poor
got
thing.
pain pills and some other kind of medications to help her arthritis and joints and stuff. So I think she's going to be okay. They said a lot of animals, when the weather gets really, really cold and you have the snow and everything else, and they're going outside and maybe playing in it or staying out there a little bit too much, and it kind of aggravates the arthritis if they have any of that. So anyway, no water features, I guess, is my point, being here. But honestly, Billy, if you come and visit sometime and we record in the basement, we'll make sure that we get plenty of water features.
Wonderful.
Billy, you gotta come visit. I've got this big bottle of Saint Germain with your name on it.
Yeah, we're going to have to set Billy up.
I just picked one up on Tuesday, actually. So.
We could find you a place to stay, so that's not an issue.
Oh, yeah. No problem at all.
All right.
All right.
Depending on how much traffic you want, right?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Anything else in the news anybody wants to talk about, or anything in particular they want to push? Or
Well, tomorrow is the traditional end of the Christmas season.
Really? What is tomorrow? Candlemas?
That's right.
Tell us about that. I don't know a heck of a lot about that. Is this also something near the Feast of St. Blase?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And
It's the Feast of the Presentation of the Lord. So that was the end of a long time ago, that was the end of the Christmas season. So Maria, and I think they still have the nativity scene up in St. Peter's Square, right? Because they're going to take it down on Monday.
I feel so vindicated.
Yeah, that's why you should.
I'm
all
uber
of us-
Catholic. I'm uber Catholic.
All of us that took our trees down earlier.
Yeah.
Losers, all of you.
But Father Kyle can actually speak to that, I assume. So.
Oh
He
yeah,
can't
give him a second. He's getting us some water.
Because we talked about it.
Well, Sarah, maybe tell us about. Wait.
about Candlemas. Candlemas.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Sarah. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, while he returns, so you guys are planning on brewing a little bit this afternoon?
Yeah, we're gonna make a chocolate milk stout today.
Ooh.
Sounds good. Hey,
I brought the lactose from Atlanta on the plane, and it's a white powdery substance.
Oh, brilliant.
I put it in my check bag, and I put it in a mason jar, so I don't know if that made it any less shady, but whatever.
It looks pretty shady, that's for sure.
Tips
Oh,
for all
man.
the drug dealers out there.
Gosh.
hey, have you ever had
impeccable.
Hey, Sarah, have you ever had anything from Founders Brewing?
Whoa, of course.
I just tried their porter at the Total Wine store. I saw.
Oh
it.
yeah, their porter's
Really?
nice. One of my favorite things that they make is their breakfast stout. Their breakfast stout's really nice, and then they also have a beer that comes out about Christmas time every year. That's called the Backwoods. Insert bad word here, but it's a really good beer. So.
So we have to
Scotch
enter our
style.
own bad word there, or I don't get that.
Well, I don't. It's not friendly for this
Oh, okay.
audience,
Gotcha.
so I don't want. It's not really. I mean, it's just not an appropriate word. So, but it's a great beer. They also make a. They take their breakfast stout and then they age it in bourbon barrels. It's called a Kentucky breakfast stout, and that beer is amazing.
Do you have it
Yes.
for
Nice.
breakfast?
I
you
never
want.
have beer for breakfast. It's way too early.
You could have it for brunch, though.
Yes.
That's true.
So, Father Kyle, now you're back
Yes.
with us. Tell us a little bit about Candlemas and the Feast of St. Blaise and all this other good stuff.
So Candlemas is it's February 2nd. It's 40 days after the birth of our Lord. So the tradition is that that was the Jewish tradition was 40 days. That's when you presented a newborn child to the temple. So it gave you some time for the parents to recover, for the child to get stronger, and things like that. And so it's the feast of the presentation of the child Jesus into the temple. So one of the mysteries of the Rosary, and on that day, to signify the light coming into the world, that's when candles are traditionally blessed at Mass, at the beginning of Mass, and even in the Roman Missal today. There's a section for the blessing of candles. So we're going to do that over the weekend here at the parish.
Oh, nice.
So we bless all the candles, and then some of the candles that are blessed at that Mass are used the next day, February 3rd, for the Feast of St. Blaise, who the tradition says helped a young child who was choking on a bone or something like that, and prayed over him and helped him with choking. So there's a blessing that's given for throats. So may Almighty, through the intercession of St. Blaise, Bishop and Martyr, may God protect you from every disease of the throat and every other illness in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So we're going to use. We don't have a Monday Mass here at the parish, so we're going to do that blessing at the end of Mass, after Mass, during the closing hymns. So people that want to come up and do that, so you use the candles, and they're traditionally placed, around your neck, and the blessing is given. So
Yeah.
So podcasters and singers out there should probably take advantage of that blessing.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, we used to. I attended the Cathedral Elementary School, Christ the King. Sarah?
Yeah, my church.
Your church. And so they always had a captive audience when they needed to fill the pews for things during the week. So we used to take turns and have our class masses, obviously in the cathedral. But I remember every year we got to go for the blessing of throats. When it fell during the week.
Yeah. Some of my priest classmates will go through the school on St. Blaise Day, and they'll go to every classroom and bless the throats of every child individually through the classroom, and spend the whole day going through the school.
That's terrific.
That's a lot of fun for the kids to learn something about the history like that too.
Yeah. When I was doing campus ministry, we would always do it, and it was always a significant number of students. It was new to them; they'd never seen it before, so it was great.
It's also a good day to pray or even to encourage people. Okay.
Sorry, that was. We have a marble floor here, and that was
Sorry.
a chair scraping on the marble floor.
I stood
First
up.
world problems.
I stood up. No, I stood up to get the lactose. the lactose in the mason jar.
Okay. Well, I was going to say,
intolerant.
Is that what they're calling it these days?
I was going to say that it's also a good day to encourage people who, even if they're, even if they're not Catholic, but who are having respiratory problems, to come and get their throats blessed. I know we did that for a friend of mine a few years ago, who was having some breathing issues and had to go on oxygen, and they actually got better. Now, whether it was because St. Blase, intervened for that person or not, we don't know, but it definitely gave them a lot of comfort. And so if you know people who are having different kind of asthma or other breathing issues, then it would be a good thing to kind of encourage them to go along and get their throats blessed. So
Hey, before I forget, you were speaking of ailments, and I thought of your good friend and the good friend of all of ours. Now all of a sudden, his
Tom
name.
Peters.
Tom
Yeah.
Peters.
Such a good friend, I forgot his name.
if we ever get him back on the show, he's going to call you to task on that.
I know he will, and he should, and I deserve it. I'm sorry, Tom.
Don't worry, I'll sit on a marble floor and I'll scrape a chair and we'll totally distract the whole thing.
Well, just call him Tommy, and that will give him the motivation to come and slap you.
Man.
I will not use that word because he'll upset with me. But the reason why I bring him up, and many of you probably saw this, thanks to Billy for sending the link to the local television station in Washington talking about the device. I forgot what the name of the device is now that they want to try to use to help him with his rehabilitation, and the fact that they weren't using it because they didn't have the money or something or other. Fill us in on that, Billy. Or maybe not.
No, sorry, you cut out for a bit there. The hospital has this machine. It hasn't been working for several years, and Tom's at a point now where he's doing so well that they were like, oh, it'd be great if this was working because we could try and put you in it. And he's like, what do you mean it's not working? Oh, it hasn't worked for years. So through media people, we got in touch with the local station, and they went out and did this little investigative report, and the video's online for people who want to see it. And that's actually the first time he's been on camera since the accident. And a lot of people were commenting me like, wow, he actually looks really good.
Yeah,
I don't know what people were expecting, but I guess it's just, I don't know. I thought it was pretty neat. So anyway, and so far, we're waiting to see. He's had a meeting with the president of the hospital. This is not a complaint about the level of care he's receiving at all, which has been remarkable, and he's doing incredibly well. But they just, like a lot of hospitals, they just don't have the funding for everything, and this is a very expensive machine to fix. So there's been some outreach already. We'll see what happens. If not, his kind of inner circle friends, we have all worked together before to try to help him. So maybe we'll have a project in the spring. Who knows? It was really, it was great to see him on TV again, I have to say. So.
Yeah, we'll have that. I'm sure if it's not already in the show notes, it will be, and it's definitely worth watching. The coverage of that issue at the rehabilitation center. So
yeah, absolutely. And the reason I was buying the Saint Germain the other night was because, and those of you who follow Tom on Facebook, you already know this. He and his wife are going to Lourdes in April. They were selected by the Knights of Malta to go.
You talked about that on the last episode, that they were being considered for it, and we prayed for it.
So they had the interview last week up in Baltimore, and on Monday night they contacted them and they said it's a go. So he had to be examined by the doctors to make sure that they would be able to take care of him properly when they go over there, because he's got certain issues that they have to deal with, and but they cleared it, and they're going at the end of April, and thanks everybody for the prayers. And again, it's if Our Lady decides to intercede and get him completely healed, that's great. But I know from anybody that I've talked to who's gone to Lourdes, it's not even so much about the physical If you get a miracle, that's great, but a lot of times the miracle is really what happens in here. And it'll be, I think they're leaving like a week after their 1-year anniversary. And the funny thing is, and Tom said this on Facebook, he had promised Natalie when they came back from their honeymoon in France last year that, for their 1-year anniversary that they'd go to France again. Probably not the way that they thought that they would go. But I think in a lot of ways it's going to be even more meaningful. So anyway, if people can just, as we get closer to the time, just keep them in their prayers, because obviously it's a little bit difficult traveling with somebody who's ill and needs to be in a wheelchair, but hopefully it'll be a good trip for them. And we're really grateful to the Knights of Malta. I actually reached out to Dr. Paul Camerata, a.k.a. the voice of SQPN, because he just became a Knight of Malta. To see if he's going this year, and he's not. He said his wife's not letting him go to Lourdes for a while.
He's everywhere.
And two made knights that are going to go.
Yeah,
I know. So
they
anyway,
travel a lot.
They really do, absolutely. So anyway, yeah, some good news on that front.
Excellent. Well, it's time. Speaking of good news, it's always good to hear Pat Gone's voice.
That's right.
Who is it?
Wow, this is definitely a train wreck today. That's awesome.
Wow.
I'll be back.
Great time.
Take the chainsaw.
This is a great show today.
Mr. Mom, the show where he has the chainsaw at the door.
Yeah.
The cigarette out of his Is that what the name of it was, Mr. Mom?
Yep, with Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
That was a great scene. Yeah, what could I do? What can I help you with? Okay, who would like to go first with their pick of the week?
I'll go first.
Go, Sarah.
So I actually have a pick of the week that's for reals.
I don't.
Oh, I have one for you. Don't worry.
Okay,
So,
good.
Connor Flanagan is a friend of mine, and he lives up in Pittsburgh. He's a youth minister and a musician who's starting to really break out, doing a lot of retreats and things around the country. And he has an album that came out today. He's Catholic, really just awesome guy, good speaker, really different, neat music. And his album's called Close to You. So it hit today. It's $8 or like $7.97 on iTunes. And definitely encourage you guys to check it out. He's just a really great guy, and you really hope that he finds success, because the music that he writes is just so authentically Catholic, and it's really beautiful.
Okay, we'll have a link to that in the show notes, and that's a good deal on iTunes, so we should support
That's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, he's just trying to figure out how to move out of his parents' attic and make the way. He went to Franciscan University, and just really could not be a better guy, truly.
All right, how would you describe his music, Sarah?
He plays the guitar, and he's got what he calls like he does flow with his lyrics. So he kind of sings acoustically, but then he'll start into kind of a rap thing, but it's like not really rap, if that makes sense. But he's got a nice beat with the way that he can sing things, and so it's just really cool music.
Excellent. Okay, and let's see, who would like to go next? Steve, do you have something for us?
Yeah, I want to have a shout out to Catholic Charities of Tulsa. I got to visit their campus this week, and I'm always just so impressed by what they do there. And they have one of the most beautiful chapels in our whole diocese, right in the center of their campus. When they, a few years ago, they rebuilt everything and they consolidated all their ministries onto one campus. And they, in the center of it, they built this wonderful chapel, and it's really just always a pleasure to go there. And I really respect all the things that they do there. So if you ever come to Tulsa, let me take you to visit that chapel. I think you'll be really impressed.
Excellent.
There you go.
I'd love to. Okay, great pick. Angela, how about yourself?
Okay, so I had a pick. I'm apologizing to Lynn right now because I'm going to change it because I have late breaking news. Our friend Channing Dale, who we had on the show before to talk about her vocation to the Carmelite sisters, has today received her habit and her name, her new name. And her name is Sister Mary Magdalene of the Divine Heart. So just want to
wow.
congratulate Sister Mary Magdalene and all the best to her, and continue to pray for her in her vocational discernment. So.
That's great.
Beautiful.
I want to jump on that because there's a young lady from Cincinnati whose brother is in the seminary, and she's entering in March. She's entering a Carmel up in Pennsylvania. So praying for her as well. So her name is Mary Jackman. So if you could pray for her and continue to pray for her sister as well. So
Excellent.
Oh, I wonder if they're going to be in the same one.
I don't remember which exactly one she's joining. It's somewhere up in Pennsylvania, northwest Pennsylvania. Does that sound right?
Ellisburg. It's the Carmel of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Yeah, that's really
that's
awesome.
the one she's entering.
That's
Excellent.
where Channing is.
Oh,
that's
excellent. Even better.
Yeah, tell her to look out for her. That's great.
Will do.
Excellent. Father Kyle, do you have a pick for us?
I do. On the pro-life front, so many people went to the March for Life just a week and a half ago. There's a pretty notorious late-term abortion doctor that's here in Cincinnati. I hesitate to call him a doctor, but he has and they've been shut. His clinic has been shut down because they are not. They don't follow. They had a variance that allowed them to stay open that is being revoked by the state of Ohio, and so the local pro-life clubs have been really working hard to get him to shut down, to remove. He does like third trimester abortions in Cincinnati, and so which is terribly awful. And so we've been working really hard to try and get him to shut down. It's been a cooperation between the local city government that he's in Sharonville, Ohio. The local pro-life groups, the state of Ohio, and a bunch of other groups to try and get him to shut down. So there's a lot of progress that's being made in that effort. So I linked to an article from locally, the Catholic Telegraph, which is the local diocesan paper, has a story on it. So it's great news in the pro-life front.
Excellent.
That is great. As a side note, has anybody seen Gimme Shelter yet? I want to see that.
I have not.
No, not yet.
I've heard good things about it, though.
I saw a couple of clips of Vanessa Hudgens, and I was really impressed, I have to say. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, whoever does see it, we can discuss it on one of these episodes.
Yeah.
All right, Maria, I see that your microphone is no longer muted, so would you like to share with us?
I pulled out my chainsaw to the Jehovah's Witnesses who came to the They scattered.
Oh, my goodness.
And the cops are on their way.
Well, it wasn't.
It's that lady at the top of the hill again.
That's that lady with the Christmas tree.
Awesome.
I wish them a Merry Christmas and bid them farewell. I do have a pick of the week. It's actually a big promotion for people to get a second look at CatholicMom.com. That website, sometimes people think, well, it's for young moms, but it's really grown in leaps and bounds to be such a comprehensive resource place. And there's just all kinds of different articles there now that would interest anyone, not just a young mother, although there's certainly that component too. And actually, I was invited to contribute to a new feature that they have that's called Worldview Wednesday, and it's just kind of taking into consideration what's happening in the world in the world of social justice, but I think with our kind of bent and mindset. So it's really a beautiful place to go check out. Full of resources, contests. You want to win some books? Go over there.
CatholicMom.com. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Well, she's not here, and she very rarely promotes herself. But it's the
Who is she?
It's
I don't
the
know
big baby of our precious diva, Lisa Hendy.
We need to have Lisa on again.
We
sometime.
need to bring her back.
Yeah. All right. Well, great pick, and especially if it has something to do with your writing. So that's wonderful,
Yeah.
Maria. William.
Yes. My pick is actually an article that I read in an Irish newspaper yesterday, and I think that you'll find it very charming. It's about one of the red nuns, and I've spoken about them before on the show, the Redemptorist sisters in Dublin, who are a cloistered order. And the article is about how one of the sisters, who I believe she's about to hit her 65th anniversary of her consecration, speaks to her is 89 via Skype every Sunday. So she's in her cloistered convent, and her sister is hundreds of miles away in her nursing home, and the two of them now have Skype set up so they can talk to each other and gossip and everything.
That is so fun.
It's such a sweet piece because the nun in question is talking about how obviously we used to be a little bit stricter about this thing, but ever since the red nuns started broadcasting their they do the divine office and they have mass in the convent every that online, and they've been making more of an effort on Twitter and Facebook, and their most recent postulants have been coming from other countries that have been seeing them online, and so I guess Mother Gabriel, who's the prioress there, just decided, you know what, we use Skype for other stuff, why don't we use it to talk to our families on Sunday? That'll be okay. And I think that's just a wonderful mixture of technology bringing people together, but also allowing people inside the convent to have maybe a little bit more contact with their family than they might otherwise be able to. So it's a really sweet story, and you'll find the link at the show notes.
Excellent, excellent. That's great use of technology, isn't it? Okay, and speaking of poor use of technology, this show. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
No.
There was just stunned silence there. Maybe I muted myself again, or
We
maybe
all
I
accept
muted all of
that
you.
as a fact.
Hey,
So.
hey. I resent that and resemble that. Well, staying along with the theme, my pick of the week is part of the new Evangelizers, the Rosary Army, because I'm wearing the Rosary Army shirt, or sweatshirt here, and it's still an active apostolate run now by Miss Jennifer Willits, and check that out by, I think you can still go to rosaryarmy.com. Is that right, Maria?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll bump you, and listen, just keep making rosaries and send them in.
They haven't
They're
stopped.
right here on the desk.
Tell us a little bit about that apostolate, Maria.
Well, I'll share this rosary. I'm waiting on a crucifix so that I can close it off and put a little bead at the bottom and have it. This is for me, but essentially, the apostolate started. Gosh, I think it's been like 10 years. It was born over a retreat weekend when Greg attended one of the teen retreats to teach the students how to do all twine rosaries, and they were like, "Oh, we can be Mary's Army, we can be the Rosary Army," and that's how it was born. And the idea is that you make them, and then you pray them, and then you give them away. And they do that. They give away free twine rosaries to anyone that asks for one. One, please. And they do happily take donations to keep the apostolate going. But it's really a beautiful way to introduce people to the rosary and to the beauty of the prayer, and also to the beauty of making them and giving them away to people. There's something about the tangible making of a rosary. It's really interesting. When I make the knots, it's 3 loops, and I just pray the Our Father every time the sign of the cross every time I make it. It's just loop straight through it. So that's it.
I think those all twine knotted rosaries are great to have because they fit into your pocket, and they're not heavy, and they're soft, and it's just a great way to carry around a rosary with you. And every time I see one of those, especially when Maria is holding on to it, the only thing I can think of is, I'm the pilot.
I was probably making a rosary when you came up to me.
You were.
I was teaching people how to make them that day.
It's in my mind, that picture at the booth, and you standing out there in front of it and just nodding away. So, anyway, so the Rosary Army. Yes, sir, Steve.
Well, I was going to say, one thing I like about the rosaries, the all twine rosaries, is they're absolutely indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, I think you could pull your car with one of them. And I regularly throw mine in the wash.
Oh, well, mine accidentally slipped through in my jeans pocket all the time. I'm notorious for forgetting to check pockets.
Yeah, they're excellent. So please help support the Rosary Army Apostolate, and it's definitely well worth it. And I have a question for you, Maria. Back behind in the background there, is that one of the Georgia Tech beanies?
That is a Georgia Tech beanie. You know that both my oldest daughter was the drum major for a couple of years, and my son played the tuba there. Let me get it. You want to see it?
Yeah, I recall. I mean, that just brings back memories. I was a freshman at Georgia Tech and wore one of those beanies.
Oh wow.
Beanie.
It's quite a tradition. You know, you what is it you do, Maria? You have to you put the game that
You flip the bill up, and you put rat, because this is for the rats, and then you have to put all the games scores on the around the
that
cap.
doesn't look like anything's written on that one.
Well, no, because let me see if you can see this.
Okay.
A couple of years ago was the 100th anniversary of the band, and so they walked in the what is it, the Macy's parade.
Uh-huh.
And my daughter was drum major at that time, so she brought me the cap. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it, especially like that last.
Oh, I didn't read. Oops.
But I agree with.
What's the good word?
Okay, well, with that, wrap up today's show. I think I got everybody's pick, didn't I? Think so.
Father Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave one.
Yep.
Oh,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, well, starting from left to right on my screen, I don't know what you are all looking at, but Angela's over there on my left side of the screen. And please be sure to check out Angela's blog, inspiredangela.wordpress.com. Yeah, she has a great post. Well, she has several great posts, but one of her latest is about forgiveness, and it was very touching. So go ahead, Angela.
Yeah, Jeff even commented. Miracle of miracles.
Wow.
So definitely worth reading. I highly recommend it. And let's see, Inspired Angela on the Twitters.
Indeed.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then we'll move on. Next is Maria. Another cup of coffee at bagojohnson.com. And if you want to read about the fight with the Christmas tree, that's where you can find that.
Yes, bagojohnson.com. Another cup of coffee, and you can follow me at Bago on
Okay.
Twitter. I'm kind of on Facebook, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm just thinking about letting it go.
Well, you know what? I don't want to get into that. Okay.
But you can find me on Facebook.
That's another show.
Yeah.
I find that for me, Facebook just works better for me because I'm not on all the time like you guys are with Twitter, and I just seem like I miss so much. It's just I feel like I'm not participating well in the Twitterverse, but I can handle the Facebook world. But again, as Billy just said, that's a subject for another show. Sarah, Catholic Drinky, CatholicDrinky.com.
Yep, that could be in Twitter, Instagram.
Okay. And Father Kyle?
Father Kyle or Father Schnipple at or whatever am I? FatherSchnipple.blogspot.com and at Father Schnipple on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and a couple other places as well. So I'm all over the place as well. So.
Okay. Well, we'll look for you.
All right.
And Steve's great blog, Everything Esteban. Lots of stuff over there. Lots of different blogs. And can you tell us about what's going on over there?
You know.
I was hoping you'd know what's going on.
I've been trying. I've hit this kind of dry spot. So I've been working on this one blog post, but I just can't finish it. So I don't know.
We'll finish it.
Yeah, if you go over there and find something new, it'll be a surprise to both of us. So.
Well, anyway, a bunch of great pictures that you have. I love that.
Yeah.
You have, so.
Yeah, that seems to be the most frequent thing I've done lately is post photos of things,
Okay.
which I like to do, but I need more filler. I need more concrete.
More fiber.
Yeah.
Words.
Fiber.
More words.
Use
All
your
right.
words.
Well, check out everythingesteban.com. We'll have that link in the show notes. And Steve_Nelson on Twitter, right?
Correct.
And
You are
Billy,
correct, Jeff.
Thank you. I should probably ring a bell, and just a small one because.
Mother Teresa approves.
Seriously, you gotta lose that. You gotta lose that one, Jeff. You gotta lose it.
Is there some kind of an emotional response you have? Billy, wbdnewton.com, and
Yes.
The blog of the Courtier. Very interesting post that you had about FOMO and
Yeah.
synergy, or was it synergy or balance?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that was kind of still I was finishing up Teresa Tomio's book and kind of thinking about we often think of FOMO in the and for those of you who don't know that acronym, it's fear of missing out. We usually think of that in a social setting, but there is also a professional way of looking at that. Are you missing out on opportunities and things that God wants you to do? So yeah, thanks. That was a good piece. But yeah, you can find me at wbdnewton.com. All my blogs and things are linked there. I'm also wbdnewton on Twitter. And this week on the Twitters, drumroll, I have been asked to live tweet the Red, White, and Blue Gala here in DC on Wednesday, which is sponsored by the American Principles Project. That's a think tank that's headed by Professor Robbie George from Princeton, who some of the listeners may be familiar with as a chair of philosophy down there. Is very devout Catholic, and yeah, they have their big annual gala on Wednesday. I guess people must have thought I didn't screw up when they asked me to live tweet the Media Research Center gala a couple months ago, so they've asked me to do it. And the keynote speaker is Rand Paul, who I have not formed an opinion about yet, so that should be kind of interesting. And yes, I'm looking forward to it.
And nobody else has formed opinions about him either.
Well, I mean, it's only 2014, and yet we all have to start, putting up our short lists for 2016. So,
Yeah,
guess I have to form an opinion. So that's the news.
I'll be interested to hear what it is. Yeah. As well.
Thanks.
So
we'll see.
Okay. So check out Billy's blogs by going to wbdnewton.com, and you can learn more about where he is and what he's doing and what he's thinking, which is sometimes pretty scary when you think. And,
Amen.
But
yes.
very artsy-fartsy.
I am very artsy.
Wow. With the emphasis on the fart.
Fartsy. Oh, that was a no-brainer right there.
And on that note, everybody have a great Saturday.
Because you don't want to read Jeff's blog, right?
Mother Teresa disapproves.
I disapprove.
Oh, man. Jeff, where are you?
Yeah, there you go. In the doghouse.
I am literally in the doghouse, because apparently my dog's house is this entire house. But I am the Airline Pilot Guy, and you can find my stuff over at airlinepilotguy.com. And sometimes I'm on Twitter, but Facebook's the best place to find me, Captain Jeff. And I have a page called Airline Pilot Guy, believe it or not. And that's it. So... well, it was another great episode, I think. Anyway, I had fun. And thanks to everybody in the chat room for participating with us. And Lynn, as always, thanks for helping us with the organization and the show notes. And if you're listening to this via audio, come join us some Saturday morning and join in the fun and frivolity of watching us on camera and participating via the chat room. And let's see, this week we talked about tomorrow is the Candlemas, and this week also the Feast of St. Blase. Anything else in the liturgical calendar that we need to be cognizant of between now and next Saturday, Father Con?
Those are the main ones.
Well, today's the feast day of St. Bridget.
Okay. That's a big one.
Yay!
Oh,
Irish.
yeah. She wrote that awesome poem about beer and...
Yeah, she turned water
Prayer.
into beer instead of water into
Yep,
wine.
and she spoke about heaven having a lake of beer, to which my
Right.
response is, sign me up.
How did I miss all this? I didn't know anything about this.
Oh, yeah.
Where do I
Yeah.
find the poem about the beer?
I think it actually might be up on my blog from a couple years ago. I'll check.
I know there's a website called thecatholiccatalog.com, and you can go check it out there because they posted it for today.
Will do. Thanks. Great tip. All right. Well, it's time for us to call it quits for this week. Make sure that you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great week. And, as always, join us here next weekend for the best show on the planet, Catholic Weekend. That's it. Take care. God bless.
God bless.
I always feel like we need to launch into MIC.
Oh, no.
We could do that.
You have fun with that.
Yeah, right.
You know, I'm surprised we got through that whole show without talking about the Super Bowl, and I thank you for that.
And the Grammys, and the State of the Union address.
We also missed Catholic Schools Week this week.
And most importantly, Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not doing another show.
We need a mulligan. Do over.
Well, how did we manage to do that?
Because we were so self-absorbed with the weather.
I know, right, guys? Seriously.
We always talk about beer.
What's wrong with that?
What are you eating, Angela? Are you
There
eating
was not
gummy
a lot of
bears?
focus on beer. Thank you.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's a common.
Trail mix. Whole Foods.
So, Super Bowl. Anybody care? I know Billy doesn't.
No, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm not even interested in the commercials
Did you
anymore.
guys see the yogurt commercial with the 3 guys from Full House?
No.
Yes.
You have to go look it up. Okay, it's like Oikos Greek yogurt.
Right, it's what John Stamos
because
does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see the one with the puppy and the Clydesdales?
That one was cute.
Well, hey, that's something we can talk about next week, right? All the Super
Our
Bowl.
favorite commercials.
Yeah.
Because who cares about who's playing, right?
Right.
I'm just more disturbed that everyone seems to be upset about the fact that what's her name is singing the.
Well, the
International
opera
anthem.
score? Opera?
Yeah, who? Oh, yeah. Well, it's about time
would
somebody
anybody be
comes in
upset
with
about
class
that?
and doesn't do those ridiculous runs and just sings the song.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
you know arguably Renee Fleming and
The
Denise,
real diva.
and Denise Graves are the two greatest sopranos in this country right now, and I don't see why people should be upset about having a proper singer sing them instead of some tartlet.
Oh.
Right? Because that's what they keep putting up there, and I don't see why we've fallen so far as a culture that this is something that is considered so out of the mainstream now that there's no way you could have a proper singer get up there and do it.
I didn't know that was a thing, like
yeah.
a controversy.
Oh no, there are all kinds of people complaining about it, saying that's completely, wrong, and that they want to have a pop star and all this kind of stuff. She's actually doing it live, like no backing track or anything like that.
Well,
She's-
imagine,
Yeah.
because she can sing.
So, 'cause she can sing.
And
But
she'll
well-
actually sing it the way it's supposed to go.
Well, they were concerned because I guess it's supposed to be freaking cold tomorrow, and that does something to
Oh,
your
her
vocal
instruments
cords. Yeah,
could,
but she said
be
nope, she's
affected.
doing it. She doesn't care what the weather is. She's going to do it because she's
Well,
like
I
it's
may
once
tune
in a
in
lifetime.
just to watch that and
So-
support it.
Hey,
It's
the,
right at the beginning, so you can just watch that and then tune
yeah, the
in.
halftime show is for all the tartlets, right?
That's right. Who's doing that? No, the halftime show lately.
I think it's Bruno
for all the
Mars.
Old. Oh, I like Bruno Mars.
So he's okay.
All the old rockers who are they just need to hang it up.
Yeah. See the-
No, I loved
Come
the halftime show with the Who. That was amazing.
Oh my God! It was a bunch of old men on guitars.
I love the
Right,
Who.
and the Who is awesome.
All right.
Bruno Mars, freaking Red Hot Chili Peppers. We can do better, people.
I know. I'm not a Bruno Mars fan.
This was
I
fun.
like Bruno Mars.
All right, well, we're gonna go. I'm gonna go.
Better than
Father
your
Kyle is gone. He
Yeah.
is gone. He's like, all right, I can't
Let's
do
go
this.
make
None
beer.
of that.
Be done.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Bye, Father
Bye.
Kyle.
I'm making beer.
Yeah, I think we might have lunch first or something. I don't know. Whatever. See you guys later.
Bye, bye,
Bye.
Sarah.
Bye, Sarah. Yeah, I gotta go meet Father Bradley across town, so I will head out as well. But
Well, it's always fun hanging out with my friends. So.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Yes. Thank you. And sorry about I kept dropping out of the call. I don't know what was.
Yeah, you'd be like in the middle of a sentence. At first, I thought it was just
Yeah.
me. I think everybody witnessed it. It was like, and then it would be like 2 or 3 seconds, and then your sentence would continue. So it was.
I don't know what to do. I mean,
you're connected directly to your router, right?
no.
Oh, That's one thing you can do.
I mean, I'm sitting 3 feet away from it.
But if you can get like an Ethernet cable, sometimes that actually helps.
Okay.
If you're close to it like that.
All right, I'll try that next week. I mean, it's just
it might be just Google Hangout. Sometimes the way they do their packets and all that kind of stuff.
Blame Google.
If you have a good connection, sometimes it just.
I mean, that's the thing. Is like I was trying to think of like my processor's super fast. My computer's only 8 months old.
By the way, the camera looks great. Whatever camera you're using is nice.
It's just the built-in.
Yeah, it's like HD.
Yeah.
Good.
No, I have it set on HD. I could reduce. Maybe.
Oh, maybe that would help.
Maybe that's what it is that the HD is taking up all the bandwidth.
Hey, I have an idea. When you look at the that settings bar at the top, for like muting, that little thing with the bars. What do you have it set on? It's the adjust bandwidth usage.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Now he's gone.
And he's gone.
Oh, I'm back. All right. It says auto H. It says auto HD.
Really? Mine just says auto.
HD. Mine just says auto.
Now I'm on medium.
Yeah, that might help. Oh yeah, look at that. You're
really?
Different.
Wow. Oh. Wait, say something, Billy?
Hello. I don't know if this makes any difference or not.
It might help the audio, but the video's not quite. I mean, it's still not bad, but it's not as sharp as it was before.
Okay.
Maybe we can try that next time. Just stick with the medium.
See, if I put it back on HD, then it kind of zooms out and.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like that better. The
picture quality, yeah, the picture quality is great, except there's a lag, and I don't know.
Well, it wasn't that bad. There were just a couple places where it would kind of.
Well, but the problem for me is that you guys would drop out. Like I would be listening to like Maria say something, and then it would stop for like 4 or 5 seconds, and then it would pick up the end of what she was saying. So I don't know.
Okay. Well.
But I'll try the Ethernet cable thing.
Yeah, just try to just connect directly to the router and that.
We'll try that, and then maybe if I just don't know what else with these settings.
I'm gonna have to run. I have to go.
Yeah, I gotta go too.
Plumber.
Okay. Well, everybody, nice seeing you all.
Bye-bye.
Very, very, very nice, Maria. Nice little halo and.
Bye, y'all.
Are
Thank
you
you.
like the investigative angel?
You look like Teddy Roosevelt.
Investigating for God.
Thanks. Let me
Teddy
undo
Roosevelt with him.
Go, bully, bully,
bully.
All right, everyone.
All right.
All this quits. So
It
All
was
right.
great fun.
it has been. Bye.
Enjoy your week.
Adios.
You too.